good evening and welcome to our Highgate Selectboard meeting for Thursday, August 6, 2020. I apologize for the lateness. We had a meeting prior to this that ran over. So our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. We'll start with public comment for anything that is not on the agenda.
I was on the way home today about the riverbank. They are still planning on doing it this year, but it's still in progress. So I was on the phone with them today. So I just wanted to turn that over to you guys tonight.
Okay.
I did give them a call to see where it's at.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have any comments? Okay. So we'll start right off with the St. Albans Police Department.
Oh.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I guess I'm here to kind of introduce myself a little bit. I know most of you anyway. My name is Maurice Lamont, for those of you that don't know. I'm currently interim chief of the St. Albans Police Department. I did 20 years, just over 20 years at Vermont State Police, retiring last August as a commander. I wasn't expecting to get in this role, but here I am. My whole career for the state police was generally in this area. Yeah. Yep. Wondered that. All right, so we'll start over. My name is Maurice Lamont. I started as interim police chief here for the St. Albans Police Department this month, well, July 1st of this year. Prior to that, I retired last August from the Vermont State Police, where I was a commander for 20 years. I grew up and worked in this area for the last 20 years. Short of a few years I did in Williston and Loyal. So I'm very familiar with this area, the people of this area. My family lives in this area. I'm happy to be here in my position in the St. Albans Police Department. We have a really good group of people there right now. I'm happy to be a part of this contract up here. Lieutenant Weatherby kind of heads this contract. I think he's doing a great job with it. Part of my job when I was commander with the barracks in St. Albans was I was really big on going to meet with select boards and listen to their issues. I think Lieutenant Weatherby does a good job with that here. I'm here to support him, but I'm also here to listen to anything you guys have that I can help with. I understand we just increased the hours up here, which I think is a good sign, and we will work together to go forward from there. My career has always primarily been on the road, so this is what I do.
So for us, we want to say thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We've been very happy with the St. Albans Police Department doing our contract. We have noticed, though, lately that things have backed off a little. I understand there is a politics side of this equation, but I think for myself, I want to keep the pressure up. I want to make sure we have good police coverage. We want to make sure that, yes, some of our citizens get tickets. Yes, some of them get arrested. Whatever needs to happen still happens, regardless of the politics. We still want a good, strong police force.
So when you say backed off, are you suggesting lack of patrol or?
Well, I think, I would say ATVs is one of our big things.
Yep. So that's a different subject, yeah. So patrol-wise, I can speak to that a little bit. Through this COVID pandemic, we had absolutely, I won't say restricted our patrol work, but we're selective about what we're doing patrol work in regards to vehicle traffic. If it's a safety issue, we're absolutely addressing it. If it's not, at the height of the pandemic, we have definitely slowed down our motor vehicle enforcement. And that is a safety decision that was made more or less statewide and actually nationally to reduce the exposure that the officers and the citizens are having with each other. ATV issue is a totally different issue. So that's a problem that we've had up here my entire career. It's in multiple towns, not just here. I do think it's primarily in the northern part of the state, and to include the Durban Newport area. When I talk to other, and I'm experience with VSB here, but It's been up here forever. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean we can look the other way, but I'm saying it has been a historical problem. I know that from my time before, we tried different ways to reduce this problem, and I know that Tent Weatherly's tried ways up here. We had some discussions prior to everybody getting here for the last hour, talking about some ideas we tried in the past, some ideas we can talk about now, but there's no way we can solve this overnight without a lot of help from here and out there, bringing the citizens, and mostly parents and people that live in the area. These are civil infractions. These are nothing but civil infractions, unfortunately. To make it a criminal infraction, you've got to have something really egregious. To get a careless and negligent operation on ATV on the roadway, to make it a criminal infraction, meaning we have the right to arrest them and take their ATV, I can tell you in my 20 years, I've seen it maybe once or twice. It doesn't happen. So, and to say that we're going to take somebody, we're sick of that particular ATV, we want to seize it, hold it for evidence, that's not going to happen. And I'm just being honest, it's the likelihood is slim to none. So you're talking civil infraction. So are we going to chase an ATV for a civil infraction? No. Are we going to spike them for it? No. That's our policy, that's state police policy. And I'm not speaking for them, speaking my experience, it may have changed, but my time there it wasn't. It's not worth the liability on the person or us. So now you're reduced to turning blue lights on and hoping that they stop. Is that going to happen? Hopefully it does. Does it often happen? No. Normally it turns into just the opposite. Blue lights turned on and they're gone. So then we're reduced to what can we do from there? That's the discussion that I think we're having here. People need to step forward and help us out. And what I mean by that is if they know who these people are riding these, and a lot of times they do, sometimes they don't, we can't uphold a civil traffic ticket on somebody else's word unless they're willing to come to court with us. A year ago or 2 years ago, when I was more heavily involved in this discussion, traffic court was willing to uphold those tickets if the person that saw the event was willing to come to court with us, the troopers at that time. They had to physically come to court to uphold that ticket. They had to be the prosecutor, because a law officer is their own prosecutor in civil court. There's no state's attorney into you. That was the deal a couple of years ago, and I'm assuming it's probably still the same. However, COVID has played a major role in traffic court right now. So we'd have to see what the timelines are. But that means somebody putting their neck out there in a good way because they're trying to prevent a problem in the community and writing a sworn statement. The law enforcement officer then writes a ticket, and then they have to go to court as a pair. Effective, yes. Time consuming, a little bit. That's one of the ways to curtail this.
So when I see kids running up and down 78, about 45, 50 miles an hour on various ATVs or side-by-sides, I happen to be in the trucking business, and I know what happens when a kid and a truck collide. It's not going to be pretty.
Yep.
And it's going to happen. And although, no, we don't want to chase them, we do want to enforce our ordinance.
Yes.
What's happening now, and Richard, you had somebody tell you what a child told you about the St. Albans police. Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, I was a young kid, but I was talking to another guy. Young kid pulled up, and I said to him, you shouldn't be riding that, should you? And he zipped across the road, and I said, you shouldn't be doing that out here on the road. He said, I got a card from the St. Albans police. It said that I can go up and down the road. And I said, give me your card. Well, let me see your card. He said, it's at home. You can go see my father. So he said, they told me as long as I go slow and I got this card, I'm all set. So, but when he left me, he pulled out in front of some vehicles, and he goes by the intersection down here. That's one of my concerns.
If you'd like to hear the actual conversation that took place with that young man.
Yes, sir.
It was, the conversation was in regards to his property and staying on your property and not crossing through the town park. It was not in regards to driving the machine, the dirt bike. It was a dirt bike, wasn't it?
This time he had a four-wheeler. He's got a brother too. It's got the dirt bike.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah, either one.
Yeah, he was not given permission by the officer to drive up and down the roadway. But at the same time, I'm going to go back and kind of piggyback off this conversation. and correct me if I'm wrong, about a year ago when we started here, there was conversation of if they're being respectable and they're on the side of the road, they're taking their time, they're out of the road, stop them and educate them, but we don't want hammer down, so to speak. And in the past few weeks, through channels of information coming back to me, it seems as though there's been more of a wish for a zero tolerance enforcement.
Well, I think it's gotten out of control.
I don't believe that. I wasn't on the board a year ago, but I used to watch all the meetings, and I do remember this whole conversation. They did, the vast majority of people out there on these ATVs, side-by-sides, they're not raising Cain. They're not raising Cain, they're out just getting point A to B. And I do remember that conversation. I do remember that, and I remember since I've been on the board, because we didn't want the vast majority, but the problem is, there's a lot more out there that are deciding that they're going to push the envelope now. Yep. So I don't believe that, from my point of view, we're not asking you to change anything other than it's been a year ago, other than there's a lot more aggressive ATV riders out there than there was before.
Right.
And I don't know if it's because of this damn COVID thing, everybody's getting brave or something, because they know that you guys are not going to go aggressively after them because of the code. And that's probably one leads right into the other, but that's what I see happening.
Sure.
But I see a lot more aggressive riding myself,
Absolutely.
going down 78 on the two wheels, and
So, I think one of the things that we started to do last year that worked for a little bit, obviously, I think everybody knows it's not going to go away. A. One thing that did work relatively well is we had, we kind of just kept an eye on some of the gas stations. And then when they go in to get gas, either someone would call us. Sometimes there's certain people that would act as quote unquote an informant and say, there's a crew in here and we could go in and deal with it that way. I can tell you what's adapted, because everybody adapts just like everything else as we've gone through the last year. And I witnessed it tonight when we pulled into town with the marked car. You could see certain individuals and you know what's happening. It's the phone game. Whether they're in town for 10 minutes, an hour, or 2 hours. So we all know that, right? So moving forward, a couple of ideas. Do you guys have any ideas before I give you my ideas?
my personal feeling is the only way you're really going to be able to police this is the good eggs that are in the basket are going to have to self-police the bad eggs.
That's what's going to take a
The
joint
vast
effort
majority of the
coming
people,
forward.
good people, they explain to these guys that you're screwing it up for all of us.
Exactly.
And that's the only way that you're going to police this, because police aren't going to be able to, because of what you said, civil penalties, you're not going to be able to do that. But they're going to be able to police themselves. And that's my opinion, it's the only way we're really going to control this, is to get them to police themselves. I mean, I don't own an ATV, but I used to. And I've always been an advocate of letting them use the trails, and, you know, if they bring business to town, and it's just not politically correct to do that. You know, you go to New Hampshire, and people are making huge money from ATVs. Newport, perfect. Go to Canada, they've got their own trail system in the winter just for the ATVs. And they come right into towns with red lights and traffic lights, and they cross and they go to restaurants and everything. So good can come of this, but the only way we're going to be able to police it is if they police each other. So what is the end game of getting that to happen?
Right, absolutely.
But, can I say something?
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah, okay. I guess one of my biggest things is in town, you know. We got that part, and I talked to one of your officers on Saturday, and he said, maybe we're gonna have to come in here with an unmarked car, because, especially that part, you know, we got older people who live across the road, and stuff is going on in that part.
I heard it.
The stuff is going on in that park. And when people are complaining at 2:30 in the morning, you know, it's time for people to sleep, and they're out there in that park. You're parking St. Albans. You don't let them ride mini bikes and ATVs in it there.
Part of the difference is we're a presence 24/7.
Right.
And I can't change that.
Right, I understand that.
But I agree with you, it should be happening, but until there's a solid presence.
You know, and I'm afraid one of those kids lose it on that dirt bike and run into that monument, who's reliable?
I know.
Down the Highgate, we are, right?
There's also an ordinance that we can't get in the park every 10 o'clock at night that was passed several years ago.
Right.
So that means, you know.
So a couple of things that I'm kind of hearing too is in adapting and moving forward, because effective policing adapts and moves forward and changes as the needs change. There was never really a set time. Nobody really cared when we were here as long as you got your 26 hours. Okay, and if I say something wrong and misinterpreted it, please correct me. Maybe that's something we need to discuss. If you're seeing something at that's more prevalent at a particular time of day or day of week, maybe we should adapt our schedule to that. That'd be not a fix, but a step in the right direction. The unmarked cars, that would be an option as well, reflecting the fact that during that time, you yourselves and some of your citizens may not see a black and white car for a week or 2 weeks, so we can have that communication with the select board so that you're aware that, hey, we're going to be in town for the next 52 hours, unmarked vehicles. So just because you don't see a black and white doesn't mean we're not there. So there's things like that we can definitely do that, and we're just going to have to continue to communicate that. I don't want it to get to a point where it's just unmanageable and everybody's unhappy and upset. We just need to continue that flow of communication. I think I've said that quite a few times. Let's just keep talking like we're doing now. We can do it offline.
I feel as a select board and being with these people, I think we're all on the same page and we like what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
When some of the bad guys are complaining, figure you're doing a great job.
Yeah, it's a frustrating topic. I mean, it's been frustrating for 20 years. I wish there was things against it. Unmarked is a great idea. Just understand that when that's up here, it's not going to be stopping a lot of cars because that defeats the whole purpose of it. It's more an intel gathering. It will be doing some potential stops, but for the most part, it's not going to be stopping cars breaking Main Street. It blows that.
Right.
Within 30 minutes, you've lost all credibility that car is done. So.
No, and when St. Albans first came in, whatever you were doing at that point was fantastic because it did draw and it did control it. So I agree with Kyle that this COVID has created a large portion of people that have nothing to do. And this is their outlet, which I understand that perfectly. But I'm also not willing to have a neighbor shoot another kid riding on the rail trail at 1 o'clock in the morning, or somebody getting hit by a truck, or any number of things. But it did work.
I can tell you why it worked. Just when I heard up there, the other agency I worked for was the presence.
Yeah.
It was a new presence that was aggressive and active.
Yeah.
And I don't think the aggression's gone down other than the slight changes for COVID, but people are now used to seeing them. And at first they're like, wow, look at this new agency that's cranking it out.
We had Monday or Tuesday, we had an officer up here. He attempted to stop. He texted me every time. I should know. He tried to stop 3 ATVs. He activated the blue lights. It's gone. But again, we know that's going to happen. So we'll change our tactic and address some hot spots with some different vehicles. And a lot of times at the beginning we were out of the car and actually sitting on trails and waiting. And another point, I talked to some folks from Fish and Game tonight, kind of partnering with them. They do checkpoints, and it's all weighing the pros and cons, the goods and bads, and us not forcing someone into a situation of peril ourselves, and that. So, but yeah, we'll adapt and overcome, and until they adapt and overcome, and we'll just play that game.
But what I would ask of you guys is, because you're the ones that have the teeth here in town as far as with the community, is talk to the store owners and ask them, are they willing to make those phone calls? Are they willing to shut the pump off if somebody comes in to gas? I mean, we got put a little pressure from within the community as well. I mean, I know they make money on the gas pumps for these four-wheelers, but you know what, if you can't get gas in town, it becomes a bit of a pain in the ass to ride four-wheeler. So put some pressure, make some phone calls. And they've got it, like you said, you talk about enforcing from within. It starts with that. I mean, it happened a few years ago. It happened in Sheldon, where the store is right there in Main on 105 in Sheldon. There's the Homer Durkee store and the two across the road. They shut the pumps down and helped, you know. And it's kind of hard on store owners to do that, but it makes a difference if everybody's willing to do it. So, but they can make that decision to be on board.
The other street that I've heard is Lincoln Street. After 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, we've had a lot of complaint about turning into a drag strip.
Okay, that's been in the past too, so that's good to know.
Not just
Cars.
ATVs, it's been cars.
Yeah, that's been like historically goes in spurts too, so that's good to know. That's a much easier problem.
That's
Not
flared
easy,
up. That's
but
flared up as well. So,
It's easier for us to patrol, so,
but I live off Lincoln Street, so it's.
so you'll know. No, that's good to know.
Well, like I told you earlier, you've got one of those kids now riding a dirt bike, no legs, no nothing on
Yep.
it, but you're in the head by
Yeah.
his helmet.
He
And
can
that's supposed to work.
see, he can see 6 feet, so.
Yeah, you know, so if someone hits him or. That's what I said when I saw him, I'm like, you've gotta be kidding.
Yeah, it's, like I said, yeah.
I kind of would like, and tell me if I'm wrong or what you would think, a point of contact, whether it's Heidi or whoever, to check in with weekly. What does it look like this week? Because, I mean, sometimes waiting a month or two or getting an email is just kind of not.
Every night between 4
Suffice it.
and 11 on St. Armand Road.
And a couple other things too. Yeah, it's gonna be timely information, and it's gonna be, if you have a house, like we know one house right now, right by the park, right? So we were there talking to them Monday night. If there's another house and you're just getting the he said, she said information that's still valuable to us, we can still make a stop and talk to them. Sometimes you might be surprised that what you see as a troublesome household, the parents still may be receptive to a stop. So take the time to get the information, get it to us, because we're fine with going and making an attempt. The reason with them may not work, but it's worth the attempt. Make that phone call. We'll try it. It can't hurt. It does nothing for us to go stop and, hey, have a conversation that the whole town, if nothing else, we can guilt them into, hey, the whole town is looking at you. And the whole town's upset at you, and then try that road. You have nothing to lose. If nobody's willing to write a statement, at least give the information. We'll make the knock and talk. It doesn't hurt. But get that, like I said, it has to be timely though, because if we're going back and saying, hey, 2 weeks ago you're on the road, it goes 1 ear and out the other. But we can say, hey, Tuesday night at 10 o'clock, it makes a big difference. They know you know
I have text
something.
messages, I can tell you that.
What's that?
I have text messages I can
Yeah,
show
I
you
mean,
from
it all
the
makes a difference. If it's timely, if they can't back out of it, it just makes a difference.
Yeah, we're in a spot now where with you having 26 hours, the newness is now worn off, so to speak. If I can contact someone or one of the sergeants can contact someone, okay, this week's agenda, I'm gonna put together the 26 hours. You know, you're gonna be doing knock and talks at these residences, you're gonna be doing traffic enforcement on Lambkin, you're gonna be, whatever it is. I don't care if it's watching baseball for, you know, the games that are happening. That's fine. And we can do that. We just need to have a point of contact to do that.
It's your time.
If you want.
It's your time for the most part. Just tell us what you need. We'll make it. We'll curve it the way you want it.
I know you guys have been real good, like when hockey games were going on here on Wednesday and Saturday nights, you know, a lot of traffic. And there was a couple of years ago, last year, the traffic was pretty bad through here, you know. And I think last winter, you guys come on Saturday nights, and you know, I think it was good that you were there while hockey. It gets pretty, you know, this is one of the biggest things on a Saturday night. Come to a hockey game, it's full here, you know. And I think with you guys here, roaming around here, you know, even if you just came in and made a little presence, you know, and walked back out, you know, just
Yep, we'll continue that. I mean, presence is everything.
yeah,
That's why you asked why ATVs is in the middle of St. Albans' presence.
yeah.
And by the way, that took years. So when I first started St. Albans, it was not like this. Different 20 years.
Could you clarify, is there a new rule that they have to have a tag to ride trails, or is that a proposed rule?
I know that VASA, it requires them to have a trail access sticker.
Right.
Used to, and a registration for that trail system.
But it goes back to the same exact people that are not having those, the same exact people riding on the roads.
Right.
So
There was an article a couple days ago about a big debate, new rule.
I think that's proposed, Heidi, right now.
Yeah.
I think that's what the article said, because we were looking into that.
there's been so many rules and laws proposed for ATVs in so many towns that I've covered over the years, and a lot of them have a lot of teeth. The issue is the teeth mean nothing if the people don't stop. And that's historically who we're dealing with. And some of them have been great ideas. There's been ideas that attach it directly to your registration on your vehicle is one of the latest ones I heard a couple years ago that had teeth where if you stopped in an ATV, they could attach it to your car license plate. And but again, it's all great ideas, but if they don't stop, it's fruitless. And people are frustrated, and I'm telling you that just because it's not just this town. I've heard it in multiple towns. Great ideas. The problem is the same group is causing the problems, and they're just not stopping.
Last thing, ordinance wise, you do have an ordinance. We don't have tickets, unless I missed something really big somewhere. Tickets to issue those ordinances?
Those typically come from the towns.
Right.
No,
Okay, I guess I did not know that.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's certain ordinance tickets we can write, like the stop sign, it's a section 1008 in Title 23, which some of the money goes to the state, some of the money comes back to the town. That's more of a, that type of traffic ordinance. But as far as ordinance, like your St. Albans has a whole slew of them, the pooper scooper right up through, right? There's an actual ticket that is issued, and it goes back to the town clerk to process. We can get you copies, we can show you, I can show you what St. Albans Town has in the
Like the
city.
dog ordinance, municipal.
Right, absolutely.
right.
You just add it, if you already have a ticket for another municipal ordinance, you add a little checkbox,
Okay.
you add a little description, and then you just check, and you're good to go.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty much make dogs look easier now.
Well, it depends. Do you have a constable? You do, right?
We do not.
You do not right now. You used to. Okay.
We did. Constables are hard to find.
They are. I know that also.
Because of the training involved and the gun requirement.
Okay, that's fine. I just didn't know if you guys would say you could also have them.
So we currently do not have a constable.
Yeah, you're not alone in that.
But I do want to say, again, I think you have the complete support of the select board.
I appreciate it.
We've been
I
very
understand.
happy with the service. And hope to continue a good, solid communication. I'm happy to be your contact if you want it.
I like it,
Yep.
that works.
And we can certainly get together with that. I can give you phone numbers or emails or whatever you'd like.
Perfect.
And then you guys, if you got anything else, you can just shoot me an email and say, hey, you should look into this, and then I'll relay the message.
It's great.
I mean, I personally think it's absolutely worthless flipping on your lights, buying one of these guys. I think that's the adrenaline pill they're looking for. I think it's more of a shock if they didn't see the blue lights.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of a downer for them, because those people that you point at and point to the side of the road, if they're gonna stop, they're gonna stop. And those little young bucks are just gonna take off. So if they don't see those blue lights, to me, you're not giving them that little high that they're looking for.
I agree with that, and I'm gonna give you the other side of that coin, is the person that's sitting on their deck watching you follow that ATV
Yeah,
up the
there you
street.
go.
And they're like, hey, followed them for 2 hours, and didn't turn their lights on.
Light 'em up.
Time out. So that's, I'll give you that other side of the coin, but yes, I agree. I agree both. Yeah.
Perception's everything. You're not doing anything. That's what you get.
But yeah,
Does the board feel comfortable with the police, or do you need to have them in executive?
I'm all set.
I think I'm all set.
Vern, go ahead.
Yeah, I do have one question. Lieutenant Weatherby, thank you for bringing up the ticket thing. I actually meant to forward that to the board. I talked to them earlier in the week about we don't have tickets, because I was asking why are we not doubling down
Right.
between the state tickets they can issue to an ATV. There's also an equal amount, and some of our ATV ordinance I think is even more harsh than some of the state stuff. And then I was informed that we don't have tickets. I'm like, oh, so we haven't been doing that for a year. I think that would help when and if you guys do get somebody to hit it doubly hard, might send a better message. So I'm going to email the tickets. He actually forwarded them to me. I'm going to give them to you right now. But thank you for what you guys are doing. We appreciate it. I did notice, it's funny, just coming to the interview last week about the aggressive ATV stuff. There were 2 of them on the way to the interview from my house, and I saw one of them doing wheelies. I got videos of that, doing it right in front of me. When you guys go to prosecute in traffic court, does that help if you have a video?
sure.
Of course, they didn't have plates. They had nothing identifiable other than yellow and a kid with a helmet on. But if we do track it down, does that help you?
It doesn't. It certainly doesn't hurt. It shows the judge the carelessness, right?
Okay.
And it's not like they're just crossing the road, so I think it does help. I mean, I don't think, the few I know of from my other agency that went through the process of having a citizen come forward and say, yeah, we've had great luck. I'm telling you, it's like a couple of times. Very rarely we have that full population. But
Well, I think too, and we have a situation in town now where people are nervous about stepping up
And I
because
understand.
they
Fair amount of
fear for
yeah,
retaliation.
absolutely understood.
And for me, that would be a big thing. We want to protect those that do stand up and do ask questions and do question inappropriate behavior.
Yeah, it's absolutely understood. I'm not asking somebody to jeopardize their safety at all, but just realistically, that's kind of where our hands are a little bit tied.
Right.
Actually, they're a lot tight, so.
Is there a way a concerned member of the public can contact you anonymously?
So we have to broach that with a traffic court again, and use that as a sworn statement type thing. They wanted it somebody right there with you. We have to broach that again. It's very different because you're not dealing with criminal cases, it's a civil case. I think that's where the line is kind of different. It was different, and that's what they wanted, somebody there. We can certainly ask that question again. If we could maybe get somebody that the court recognized as a confirmed concerned citizen, meaning that maybe they're improving in the court's eyes, potentially, I don't know. We'd have to go down to talk to them, see what they would consider to be somebody that, so it's not just, you're mad at your neighbors, you're blaming them every time, you know? That'd be somebody that was proven through the court, I'm guessing, something like that. Because they weren't sworn in by the court, that's the issue. So we'd have to ask the court that question, that's the only thing I can tell you. But in the past, they've wanted somebody to. We can ask.
I can do a little research.
We do a little research and see. It may have changed. I can tell you if the court will take sworn statements, that'd be awfully nice. But it's still going to be read in court. That's what the person has to understand. We are still prosecuting a ticket based on the statement. So when you stand in front of that judge and say, I'm writing this ticket, and then you're going to have to say why you're writing a ticket, it's going to say, because Mr. Smith said, it's going to come out. It's never, I don't think it's ever going to be as
It's
concerned.
breaking down the hearsay versus witnessed versus unwitnessed. And
To be a confirmed, somebody that they'll take as an anonymous tip, I don't know if the court will ever do that. We can ask and see. Criminal cases, sometimes they do. We can ask them, so. We can ask.
Well, I guess I'm just saying that we want to make sure that our residents who obey the law are more protected than the ones that don't.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, we don't, last thing we want to do is have somebody, jammed up, vengeance-wise, because they came forward.
Right.
I agree with
We've
you.
had that in town already,
Yes,
and
understand,
we don't want to see it happen again.
understand. Maybe it comes down to if you know that a certain person's going out consistently at a certain time of day, then we can adjust our patrols in an unmarked so that we're down the road at a certain time of day, and then it becomes our headache. And that's what we're here for, so maybe it comes to that.
Yeah.
We can adjust, and we'll spend 3 days in a row at between 8 and 10 o'clock in the morning, roll the dice and hopefully see this person ourselves. Come out of that driveway, we don't have to chase them, we see them come out of that driveway, and we'll deal with them that way. Or pull into that driveway, whatever case may be.
And I would say that if you go to visit someone because of a complaint, don't immediately go to the person that made the complaint.
Yes,
That sends a poor
yeah, we can
precedent.
start doing it by phone.
And that has happened just recently.
But it is, like I said, unless we see the person come out of the driveway or back in the driveway, it's difficult to put them on the machine, so. As I was talking to one of the residents here, using somebody else's machine, I mean, there's a whole slew of things they do, so. We'll do the best we can, though.
Bruce, anything?
I don't think I've got anything to add to it. Just, it sounds like if they change their tactics a little bit, then
We can adjust.
they could have a bit more success for a while, and then it'll keep going around, and
Oh, yeah, they evolve as fast as we evolve.
Oh, they do. They're sneaky.
I'm just to clarify, so if a pickup truck is out there unregistered on state roads, that's different than a four-wheeler being out on state roads unregistered.
Not really. The four-wheeler can't be on the road either, but the pickup truck is more likely to stop, in my experience. And if they don't stop, we have more abilities to attempt to stop it.
Okay.
We don't have many abilities when it comes to an ATV or a dirt bike if you're using or motorcycles that are refusing to stop.
Abilities from a legal standpoint or
From
actual
a
physical?
procedural standpoint. We are not going to be chasing.
No, we don't want,
And that's the difference though. A pickup truck or car, we can weigh the liability, the circumstances, how much effort we want to put into trying to stop them. And a license plate, if it's on the vehicle, we can figure out who that is, where they live based on that. For an ATV, there's no identifiable markers typically, so we have no clue what we're looking at per follow-up.
I think some of this problem goes beyond town level and beyond the St. Albans Police Department level, which is the state requires them to be registered, but nothing is done to see that that actually happens, which to me makes no sense whatsoever. But
We're just discussing tonight a specific statute, like trespass by motor vehicle, and he reviewed it, and it specifically outlines in there, it's applicable to motor vehicles, except UTV.
So it's not about the complaint in the park. So maybe we can look at going trespass by motor vehicle in the park. It literally says, like you said, not ATVs are excluded. I have no idea why that's in there. It makes absolutely no sense. But that's literally what it says. You can't charge them with trespass. So they go in there and do donuts all day in your park.
Yeah.
And nothing to do about it. ATVs were designed for farming. And so there's a lot of exclusions and a lot of laws for ATVs specific because they're designed for farming. Unfortunately, they've evolved in such a way and used in such a way that they're way beyond the scope of what they're designed for. So the laws haven't caught up with that. That's my understanding.
somehow I would hope somebody can come up with a solution, because I can remember how out of control snowmobiles used to be 40 years ago. And now they're not much of a problem because of,
So they have a great trail system now. Fast is for snow travelers. It's not, I mean, that's not an exact solution, but it's a very tailored, very monitored, very money-making now trail system that they don't have to go down the street as much because they're using.
Yeah, and the roads are taken care of, so there's no snow on the road. I agree with you, there's not a problem. I can't tell you how many, I haven't seen 10 snowmobiles on the road my whole career.
and they all are registered and insured, and like you say, they use the trail system, they have to belong to VAST, basically.
And I can tell you the trail system is very widely patrolled as well.
Yeah.
The state police spend a substantial amount of time on the trail system, Fish and Game spends a substantial amount of time. There's not a lot of monitoring, patrolling on any systems for ATVs, unfortunately.
Right,
There's
so,
it's never, the state police don't, Fish and Game does. I don't know if anybody else does. Maybe some sheriff's departments do. I really don't think there's a lot of monitoring for that, and it's unfortunate because I do think that would help. Because ATVs are using some of the trail systems to get point A to point B, but there's no way monitoring it for the most part.
right.
That would be a change, if the state would agree to open some of the systems more for ATVs and put some money in enforcement. But right now, that's not the way.
It's going to be that return on investment.
Yeah, exactly. Like New Hampshire, you're absolutely right about New Hampshire. I've been around ATVs, and I don't own one by rent. It is quite a system they have.
That's amazing.
So.
I got a question that, something that we got illegal burns, and if we got a call to a certain place, illegal burn, a night you guys weren't on, and you were called, would you come back the fire department up?
We're on or we're not on?
You're not on.
Typically, we're not coming up, unless it's.
I mean, if we'd have to set something up specifically. I think we've been out to help a few times, not for burn stuff, but if there's something major going on, we'll come out to back up or be the first, whatever. But we'd have to discuss that, I think, a little bit more logistically.
That's something I think we are having a little trouble in town with some places, and and they're getting aggressive. And I think.
Yeah, I think that's a discussion we could have at a different time for.
You create that shot.
Just because it should be done.
75 PSI is an inch and a half, and shoot to the knee gap. So we're not getting back on that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
thank you very much for coming and
Thank
for
you.
waiting for us.
Yeah, nice to meet everybody.
Good luck.
We'll be fine.
And you don't need one for executive?
No, I think we're good to go.
Beautiful.
Thank you, everyone.
I'll send you an email.
Have a good day.
Thank you, guys.
Too.
Yeah,
I think we
we'll,
already have that. Don't know if we have specifically for the.
Very good.
Nice seeing you.
Have a good night.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so the fire department, Chief DeBatey had sent an email in saying that he would be at the next meeting, that tonight was not workable for him. So we'll go right to Dan for our recreation update.
So, quick update. We had our archery clinic last week. Good turnout. Numbers were a little low. I think COVID and everything.
Yes.
You know, numbers low for everything. We have started our cornhole league. Low numbers. Rollerblading has been up actually. Floor hockey low. Pickleball low. So all compared to last year and stuff. So, but kind of be expected with everything going on. Big thing, fall soccer registrations are now open on the website. So that's the grade 1, 2, and grade 3, 4. We chose not to do pre-KK this year. So,
So
fall
how do they get on the website? What's our website address?
website is Highgate Rec, .myrec.com.
Okay.
So,
So parents can go
Parents
sign
go
up
on,
their
and
child.
there's also a link on the town website and a link on our Facebook as well. So,
Okay.
and
How
there-
long is that open for?
it is going to close August 19th, somewhere in there. It might get moved, just depending on how numbers are going. But right now, that's the
End of August.
end of August, yeah. We're hoping to start that first week of September, so. And then we'll be sending out more information on cross-country in the next week.
Okay. You are also looking for volunteers or coaches? I'm assuming?
Absolutely. We're always looking for coaches for soccer and cross-country.
They don't have to have, don't have to have a child or,
Nope, don't have to have a child. Just want interest in helping out the community, helping out kids, coaching. Yeah, always looking for volunteer coaches. So,
okay.
if they have any questions, they can contact me, and I can help. Talk them through it if they have whatever questions people have. So,
Okay, perfect.
and then the other thing I have is the ATM contract.
Okay.
So, you guys, I don't know if you guys have that or.
So have you had a chance to look at the ATM contract? Have a copy if anyone needs to have one.
I also have one of them. These ones.
Is it on SharePoint or the ATM contract? I'm just trying to figure out where it was.
Oh, should have been in
It was in the package.
package.
I thought I saw it earlier.
Where will that be, Dan?
The ATM. So apparently a couple years ago, they actually had a outlet put in for it. So it would be in the lobby, at that center podium there. There's an outlet on the bottom ground that was put there a couple years ago for an ATM. So.
Great idea. Do you get any revenue for it?
Compensation is 30% on the surcharge. Not surcharge. The fee to use the ATM.
Mhm.
We get 30%.
Will it be facing the doors?
No,
Or this? It's
it will be
ice?
facing the ice, just
Okay.
go where the ATM is and
Yep.
space for it, could be in that
So
little.
hidden from like anybody just walking by.
Yes. It's kind of in that corner, kind of hidden,
Yep.
so.
Okay, so do we have a motion to accept the ATM agreement?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excuse me, those opposed? Okay. All right. And you have the RFP out for
The RFP is out for the heating, hot water, and dehumidifier. We had 5 companies come for the site visit. Questions due today, and final submittals are due next Thursday, the 13th. So hopefully, your guys' next meeting, we should have a recommendation for you guys.
okay, great. And what do we know about ice? Are we still going forward with ice?
We are. We're looking at pushing it back. Past couple years, it's been October 1, kind of right in there. We're looking at pushing it back a week or two. That's the plan at the moment. Nothing official, but right now, October 16th, somewhere in there is kind of what we're looking at right now.
Have we had any updates from the schools?
As far
For
as opening,
On the sports season.
Well,
no, I have been in contact with John Lumsden. VPA met last Monday, but there still hasn't been a public announcement. So I'll keep bugging John. So
we're crossing our fingers.
yeah, so yeah, but nothing official from the VPA yet.
So are they pre-scheduled in the hopes of that?
The high school schedule has been made and everything. Yes.
Okay.
It's just whether or not it's going to happen. So.
Has there been any thought to if there is not going to be, if that, I don't want to think that way because I hope that there's going to be a season. But if there's not a season, is anybody, just to be a couple steps ahead in case that happens?
So if there is not a high school season,
Official season.
if there's no high school season and the youth hockey is still happening, most of the what I've been told is Maha, St. Albans, a lot of them would be willing to create U19 teams. So there'd be basically instead of skating for MVU, they'd be skating for Maha. So there is that on the table.
So there is a possibility if the season did get canceled that they would allow the youth programs to continue?
Yes.
Yeah, Maha does not have to follow the VPA. They're not school related. So the youth organizations for hockey don't follow the school.
I guess the big question is, so I'm saying there's going to be ice in this rink come
As of right now,
January, there's going to be ice in this rink.
As of right
There's
now.
not going to be any reason not to keep the ice here.
Correct, unless something changes. But at this moment, the plan is there will be ice.
Yeah, it's my understanding a lot of the groups are planning to do their hockey safely.
Yep.
And that may include not having international teams. It may include
that they cannot leave Vermont.
Not leaving Vermont. And they're even talking about segregating the state so that maybe from our teams only go as far as Burlington, they don't go any further south, or just to try to accommodate for COVID.
Obviously, the main goal is to keep the kids in school and everything. So it's kind of going from there. What the youth organizations and VASH should decide to do. We don't really. We're just the rink. If they have a season, ice will be here. If they decide not to, then we'll have to relook.
Start private figure skating lessons.
I was thinking curling.
That too. That would be cool.
But so I mean, as of right now, though, plan is mid-October, ice will be ready. And like I said, we'll wait for updates from the VPA, the youth organizations, and kind of wait and see. Really, we'll kind of just really all we can do right now. So.
Okay. Any questions for Dan? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So you actually need a signature on this though, right?
Yes.
As the property owner? You need
That's for Sharon.
Sharon.
And then I'll forward it to them. And you can get that process going, so. Yeah. All right, thank you, have a good night.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
You want your signed paper, or is it going back to Heidi first?
Do you need a copy of it?
I can scan it to you, but I don't, I mean, I just need a scan. Huh? You can take it. Just send us a copy when you get it fully executed, please.
There you go. You are welcome. All right, Shelley. Hi.
Hey, Sharon,
Yes,
before you go any farther, could you make a welcoming announcement,
certainly.
please?
Yeah, I'll even let you do it if you'd
No,
like.
no, no, you're good.
Yes, I apologize. We do have a new member, and that's Vern Broski. And this is his actual second official select board meeting, because we've had an executive session already with his attendance, and he was just in another meeting earlier today, so we're breaking him in right.
Right into the fire. Hi.
So Vern, welcome.
I recognize you.
Yeah.
Monumental. Thank
So
you.
thank you, Richard, for rolling.
Thank you.
Moving on?
Yes.
Okay, welcome, Vern.
Oh, Michelle.
I've got a couple of things that I need to button up before the auditors get here at the end of the month. So the first thing I'm gonna send around, you guys had approved this updated personnel policy back on one of the Zoom meetings in April. I left the dates the same with Randy's name on there, which we'll just have a blank, but I figured that's who approved it. So if you want to start with that first.
Okay, so this has already been approved, so I am not making a motion, or having a motion made.
No, you had already made that. And while that's going around, did anyone have any questions on the new municipal internal control checklist? Last year it was one page, it was just this. And the state has now made it into this awesome 4-page questionnaire.
Pretty exciting, that's
So this is something they do annually, and typically right around this year, right before the auditors get here. If no one has any questions on it, it just needs Sharon's signature after you make a motion to.
That was all the contact lists and all that stuff.
No, this is more of functions of our control in the office.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions about that? Okay, just passed along to Richard, yep. So do I have a motion to sign the municipal checklist for internal controls?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Sharon,
Yes?
you want Vern to cross Randy's name out?
No, because Randy was the one that
Right, he
was
was
part of
part
the
of the
approving
Oh, okay,
board at the time.
Okay.
Thank you.
okay. Saw it there, so.
Okay, lastly, check warrant. Any questions on the check warrant?
Has everyone had a chance to look at the check warrant? Do I have a motion to sign?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
The auditors will be here at the end of the month. They sent me a checklist of 40 items to be completed, and this was one of them, the checklist, and I'm down to a couple others wrapping up before they get here, so that's moving along nicely. As far as delinquent taxes go, I did send out, I was advised that it's better to send out the tax sale notices as normal, pre-COVID, which keeps people on their toes and also lets the mortgage companies know what kind of situation they are in. So pretty much our list is down to just a few properties. And if they are not on a payment plan, they got a letter. If anyone wants to see the list, I can pass it around. The outstanding delinquent amount right now is $68,999.80, which is just slightly higher than last year at this time.
That's still awesome.
Well, considering the circumstances, I'd say yes to for everyone. And unfortunately, pretty much the entire list of people that were sent a letter have not been in contact with me once since they got a bill last September. So, sorry. Just call me. Make a plan, because you're going to get another bill next month, and then you're going to be really far behind. So that's where that's at.
So speaking of taxes,
I am waiting on Amy in the lister's office. She has a few more steps. I think current use has typically been the holdup. I think she's waiting on a couple more steps to close out her year and open up this year. I know they finalized the new grand list when they were in the office on Tuesday. So next meeting, be prepared to set the new tax rate. It's not looking as bad as people think it might. I think it's actually not going to be
like everything.
right. Not like last year, not even close. I think under $100 higher, and all of that is pretty low. Education rate went up again. So
No.
we'll set that next meeting.
At which point, then the tax bills
Tax
can go
bills.
out.
Yep, we plan on having a stuffing party on September 18th and mailing them out at that time, which gives people a full 6 weeks to not lose their bill and hopefully pay it.
Yes. But we'll always take your money early.
That's right, that's right.
So you
There's,
can get a jump on it.
Right,
Tell them
Sue?
about the labels
Oh,
that
Sue
they're
left?
gonna do. Labels.
I do. I ended up doing a 2x4. You can't miss it. It was so neon. I was going blind and sticking them on the envelopes. Basically reminding people how they can pay if it's if it's not cash or you do not need to come into the office. You can pay with a credit card, a debit card, and any kind of card on our website. You can mail your personal check in the United States Postal Service. Keep them in business. Or yeah, absolutely. If it's cash, call, make an appointment. I've got a standing Wednesday afternoon appointment with someone that got a letter. So now they see me every Wednesday for their cash appointment. But yeah,
That's fine.
and recently Sue came in and made her cash appointment. So that's paying ahead. So she's one of the people that take full advantage of budgeting on her own.
That's great.
Yeah.
Shelley, if you want to pay by credit card, is there an extra fee or anything?
There is a fee, yep. The company we use charges 2.65%. And we do still have people that prefer to use it because their rewards outweigh the charge. So every year I do have a handful that come in with their card. Yeah. That's the cheapest we could find when we were searching for a credit card company, so.
Any other questions for Shelley? Okay. Wendy?
Because this group likes special meetings so much, you have 3 sets of minutes to approve. I've never seen anything like it. July 16th, July 23rd, and July 30th.
The pay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you do them all at once?
That is up to you guys. I'm just typing whatever you think.
All right. So has everyone had a chance to read the minutes of the 16th, 23rd, and 30th? Okay, so do I have a motion to accept the minutes of July 16th, July 23rd, and July 30th meetings?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Okay. Sharon, I need you to sign all three, and then Heidi has to sign one. The primary election, it's consuming my life, but it's a good thing. We have sent out 522 absentee ballots for next Tuesday's election, and 334 of them have come back. So in the next 4 to 5 days, there's 188 still floating around out there. So you can return them to me the day of the election. Shelley and I will be in the lobby from 7 to 7, more like 6 to 8, but polls are open 7 to 7. So we will be processing the absentees on Monday. The Secretary of State's office authorized early processing of the absentee just because there's such a heavy volume of them. So we are closed to the public on Monday to process absentees. The process is open to the public, so the back row will be open if anybody wants to come in and watch. It's perfectly fine, but that's what we will be doing all day Monday to get those off of our plate before the actual voting day on Tuesday.
So did we get an increase in activity by
The cards.
yes?
Oh, yes. 522 absentees is more than even voted in the last primary 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yep. So it was successful. So we'll get through this, and then we'll be mailing out tax bills, and around that time is going to be when everybody's going to be getting an absentee for the November election. Everybody's going to get one, whether you ask for it or whether you don't. If you're an active voter on the checklist, you will receive an absentee ballot. Doesn't mean you have to vote absentee. The polls will still be open in November.
But you can't vote twice.
That's right. If you show up to vote at the polls, I'm going to be asking you, where's the ballot you were mailed? What'd you do with it? There's an affidavit that needs to be filled out. So anybody that wants to vote in person either has to bring that ballot to me or sign an affidavit what you did with it. But that's in November. Next week, we'll deal with next week.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Yes. I have my JPs coming in at 7 p.m. to help us because there are a lot of write-ins with the August primary. So they're all coming in to help us after the polls close. And we do have 2 positions open at the office. The lister position must be a Highgate resident. It's 1 to 2 days a week, depending on the workload and the time of year. That is open until letters of interest by August 28th. And we also have a part-time zoning administrator position. This does not need to be a Highgate resident. 16 to 20 hours a week. Lots of fun, going to DRB meetings, right, Rick? And that's applied by August 21st. But I do have questions about the zoning job.
Yes.
Like things that are piling up interim, what's gonna happen?
Well, Rick, what do you think?
How many permits are coming in?
Only permits are coming in?
Well, Sam's last day was last Friday, and since she's left, there's a few permits and a few letters of compliance in her inbox. I can't speak to what's in her email or voicemail.
So can your,
The DRB does meet next Thursday.
I will be there. Can your board
It's gonna be a
handle?
long night.
Yeah, I know.
They got a full.
Can your board handle those permits at that time? Do you need assistance?
even knowing what they are.
I don't even know what they are.
Okay. So can we round those up from Sam?
Yep, they're in our inbox, they're just
Okay.
sitting there, yeah.
All right, so let's round those up. Let's bring them to the board meeting. If the board is able to approve those permits or compliance, I'd ask that we do them then.
Will that suffice with the board approving them and not the zoning administrator?
Well, we don't have a zoning administrator.
So does the select board need to appoint
Temporary.
somebody interim to sign off on these things? I think something should be in minutes. I think so.
What's the board think?
Because it's going to be, if that job doesn't even, I mean, the posting closes in August 21st, it could still be a while from there before there's anybody in that chair.
Right.
The Secretary of State, you have to get in contact with and find out what the proper procedure is to do that.
I mean, we've been in this position many times
You have,
in the past few years. This is number 4 in about 3 years.
And in the past, you just appointed someone?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it's been Wendy before, it's been Heidi before.
I asked it not be me because of election season. So I don't know if it's bring them to the board, but appoint somebody from that board to sign off on them. I don't know what the right answer is, but
I'll come in Tuesday afternoon and look at what's coming.
Tuesday afternoon, I'm gonna be here in the lobby.
No, you won't.
You can go to the office. What are you doing tomorrow?
Would you be willing to be that person? Or is somebody on this board
Pay a big
willing to
bucks.
be that person?
I'll be willing to be my person. What do you mean that person?
The person that would have the responsibility of signing off on those permits and compliances that can go without being heard through the PRB.
It's pretty much permits and letters of compliance.
Just have to sign on. You go to the meeting, would that go?
No, you don't have to go to the meeting, but you would have to know all of the rules and make sure that they would apply to what you're
What they're applying for.
signing off on.
So it would be a good meeting, really. Good, to get an idea.
You could, yeah.
What did you say?
What's that?
A good idea to,
Go to your meetings, go to the meetings,
oh yeah, I'll bring them to the meeting.
get up to speed, yeah.
Yeah. But just to get ahead of the game and look at them and,
Because I believe with permits, it's 30 days we have to process them.
Right.
So it's still early, but
But yeah, since you have the knowledge,
thank
if
you.
you are willing to take on that responsibility, I don't see any problem with appointing you as the
Look at him.
agent.
Easy.
I'll support you as best I can. I
I
just
don't
don't
need
want to
any
do
more
it.
titles. No, okay, that's no problem. How's the procedure gonna work? The same as before for a zoning administrator?
As far as it going through planning and then, yes.
I would recommend we have like a probation period.
I would suggest it, considering we have a hard time sometimes getting a
Yep.
good fit.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the planning commission, that's their job, is to hire that particular person and make a recommendation to the select board. So. And I would think the planning commission would welcome the DRB's input if they were so inclined.
Okay. All right, I'll be in tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll be.
So is that agreeable to everyone? Do we make a motion that Mr. Trombley has the approval of the select board to sign off on zoning permits that do not require the entire board's review?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Thank you.
We thank you very much. We know that's extra work for you, and
Do it for the
we
money.
will try to get a person hired as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you.
That's it for me.
Okay. I knew we could talk you into it.
We'll model through it, Rick.
Are you the zoning person, does they not have to be there? Or do they?
They do not have to be.
And how many hours do you give it?
Typically like 2 days a week. Could be whatever days you want it to be, like they set their own office days and that's what we advertise to the public. So there's some flexibility there. 1 meeting a month with the DRB.
That's a good board.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And I'm certainly willing to help the both of you the best I can. If you get stuck or one of you is too busy or you're both too busy, holler, I'll help too, best I can. All right, Heidi.
Okay. There's a lot of information in the report. I'm just going to focus on the things that I need action for. So if you have any questions on anything else, just shout out. First thing I wanted to mention is that we had applied for a $30,000 USDA grant, and we were only partially awarded $15,000. And they asked for prompt turnaround on would we take it. So I did say we could take it and do as much as we can accomplish for that amount. So there will be a contract coming forward, but and I had asked Shelley if we might have any other money we could match with that. We do have in-kind match for my hours and the board members, but as it stands, they will give us $15,000 to work with a consultant to create our economic development strategies, such as impact fees, TIF district, and we also have to look at designating the area around the airport a growth area to avoid sprawl issues when we apply for an Act 250 permit. So that's just an update on that, and I'll be bringing a contract to you soon. And just an update on the grant and aid funding from Regional Planning Commission. That's for a project on Roller Road. We did put that out, and we had a site visit last week, and we had 6 firms show up, so we had a good turnout. And those bids will be back on the 10th. So, sorry, those bids will be back, bids are back Monday, the 10th. So, and it's a long stretch before your next meeting, so I'm proposing that Richard and the Public Works Department and I open them, review them, ponder them, and then have a contract ready for the next meeting.
I have a couple concerns there.
Okay.
Now, we got a grant for 14,000, right?
Mhm.
It's a good chance that this is gonna go way over, right?
There's a potential, yeah?
So what are we gonna do if that does happen, we can't save the grant, right? And I can't see where we're gonna come up with that money. I'm kind of concerned, and I know I talked to Butch about it, and, he said he don't want to be pushed to the back door, because, he's pretty much got he don't want to take no money out of his line items, and I understand where he's coming from, what's I try to get an input out of you, what you feel about this situation there.
Yeah, it's definitely a concern. Hopefully the fact that there's a few bidders will make it a little more competitive. But when we open them, if they are way more than you have funding for, what we could do is go back to Regional Planning Commission and ask, can we reduce the scope? We also asked them to put a couple deducts in there, so the Public Works Department would cut trees, or they would do the hauling, and those would allow those deducts. So when you look at them, if they're out of your league, then the Public Works could say, we'll do this.
But my only concern is, I've heard it last year, they don't want to be overwhelmed, and I think they've had it's been hard for them with this COVID-19, and I just don't want to overwhelm them, and I think.
Well, those are the questions,
Right.
You'll be able to make those decisions at that time, and you can either ask Regional Planning Commission, could you reduce the scope? Could you do less? Because it's 1,650 feet of road. That's a lot. So but we just don't know until we open the bids.
So does that 14,000 have to be used in a certain amount of time?
Yeah, absolutely. The project has to be done by October 15th for us to stay compliant
Of this year?
of this year. That's the extension that we got. It was supposed to be done in June, which couldn't happen, obviously, so they gave us an extension. So, if it doesn't work, you can always back away from the grant and say you couldn't.
Okay, I just, or could we do that much of the grant?
Yeah, which I would think that might be something that they would be agreeable to. So you have a few different ways to look at it, and then if it doesn't work, you step away.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason we're putting it out to bid, because
Right.
it would be a little more than they can handle right now.
Right. But, all I'm saying is, like Butch said, if you put more on there, I guess if it's only 14, if we got 14,000 and we want the boys to do this much work, is that gonna, they got sand to put up and all that stuff, I just want to make sure that, they ain't overwhelmed, that's my biggest concern.
So is that what the select board would like us to do, is to meet and open those prior to the next one? We can circulate it to the board and then we can ponder that? Or do you
Process
wanna-
going.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Time sounds like it's of the essence, so.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to allow that to happen?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And so my last item is that there, maybe not yet in front of you, but I do have information for all of you regarding an opportunity, which was part of our site visit before. So there is a hypothetical offer to the town for partial funding for your grant application to Northern Borders. And so we've been asked if we could confirm that we would still be So basically, they just asked us to confirm our budget, timeline, scope, and none of those things would change based on the reduced amount. You still have the ability to utilize those other funding sources available. So, and if you accept this, you have until September of 2021 to get your ducks in a row and say, yay or nay. You can do it or you can't.
Okay, so the northern border grant is to do the airport expansion project, which would include our putting water and sewer up there to grow that industrial area, and hope with commercial development that will help lessen our tax burden on our citizens, and give us a better grand list, also to provide jobs closer to home and keep us a nice, strong, viable community. So we had asked for $1 million. We were awarded $500,107.76. So it's up to the board to accept that amount. And that's what we need a motion on.
So we're still gonna be short that.
You are, but like we talked about earlier, you do have the opportunity to apply again in the next cycle. And the state also has the ability to apply, so that would give us 2 more options for money for this project. And as we all know, the more money that we do procure from different funding sources, the less we would have to ask for from the taxpayers.
Is there a expiration on this? To use money?
Yeah.
So you're talking about using the money, not responding to them?
Right, actually,
Okay.
you actually use this money. If we respond, say yes, we make the motion to accept that. Once we do that, does the clock start ticking on how long we have to use the money?
Well, yes, and you'd have until September next year to get everybody on the same page of all your grant funding. So prior to that, you'd have to do a public vote at some point
Right.
to say that you have public support to apply to EDA. So there's a few steps, but we're looking at not going to construction on this until 2022.
Right.
So, and then you'd have, we said that sometime in '23 it would be finished.
So obviously, we go through this process, we say yes, we have the vote, the town says no, the money goes back.
Yep,
The town says yes, we have the money to continue on, and then the process starts.
yep.
Okay.
Right. And we're in the process now of trying to
Right.
nail down the plans of how this would go, how much it would cost, what our potential benefit would be, so that we can supply this information to our taxpayers and to our residents to find out whether they think that this is a good idea, if this is something that they see in our future. The board, on the most part, feels that this is an opportunity for the town. We have a lot of partners that agree with that they would say that this is a very good economic opportunity for both the town of Highgate and Franklin County. And we are trying to get our legislature, both state and federal, involved to help this. The more people on board, the more money that's available to us, and the less it costs us as an initial shock. And then as the future goes on, hope to have a good return on our investment. But first steps first.
Heidi, if we accept this offer, what point in time do we actually receive the monies?
I believe this grant is the same as most of our construction grants. You spend the money and then you're reimbursed. So it's a gradual amount. You spend a certain amount, you submit a bill, and then you get a reimbursement.
Okay, so it's more of a commitment of that amount of funding on Northern Border's part, rather than us
Yes.
actually having to
Correct.
accept money and
And again, this was posed as a hypothetical. Could the town accept this? And we have to respond by tomorrow to stay eligible for the fund.
that's nice.
Yeah,
Well,
they're doing that lately.
This was brought to me before, and I was a little excited that they wanted a decision prior to the select board meeting, because my feeling is this is an all or nothing kind of thing. We all need to think that this is a good idea and a good way to go, and try to find the best options for us. I know Richard has some hesitations because people are nervous about money, and I understand that 100%.
I just, and I'll be truthful with you, I wish I knew how the townspeople felt. That's my biggest thing. Where I'm saying, I hear some townspeople, not a bad idea, but I hear a lot of townspeople out there that think we're doing an awful thing, and how much is Highgate gonna benefit that? And that's a big thing, outsiders are coming in, are they gonna reap it all, or that's my biggest, where I'm sitting right now. I look out for the community, and,
That's why we have to do our job of education, and everybody has their say in what to do.
I agree with that,
That's-
but I think if we're I don't wanna get our cart ahead of the horse,
No, I don't think that's happening in this case.
That's why we're having so many meetings.
Right.
And try to meet with so many people so that we can figure out what's going on, so that we can go out into the community and say, okay, so this is what we're proposing, this is how much it's gonna cost. These people are gonna help us, these people are gonna help us, these people are gonna help us. And this is what we think we'll get for a return. So for us, Kyle's absolutely right. The more better educated we are,
Yeah,
the better we could say, yes, this works, no, this doesn't work. Because if it doesn't work, I'll be the first one to put my hand up and say, no way.
right.
But if we can go forward, educated and committed.
Well, as a worst case scenario, my understanding is if we accept this offer and this whole idea goes off the rails, we can just basically return or cancel out. I guess we cancel the grant. So, got to start somewhere. So I would move to accept this offer from Northern Borders Northern Planning Commission, is that it? So,
Northern Borders Regional Commission.
Just to highlight what Bruce just said, what is the risk to the voters if this thing does go off the rails? Is there any financial risk to the voters?
Well, the voters have no commitment at this point, and they would not until we come to a point where you would sign up for your local match. So September 2021, you have to say, we have this grant, this grant, this grant, and we will cover the local match required, because you are limited to 80% federal funding. So
That's when we have the education of the public. We'll have the vote by the people then to know what they want to do.
So we would probably have a vote next summer.
No, we'd have to have
We'd
a
have to
vote
consider
before
that.
that because we need to get our EDA grant.
So are you saying March? Yeah, I know there was some talk in November, you know, but then I heard two girls over there say they were in favor of that, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I thought I understood that.
Yeah, and that's why we had originally said September, but it's
But-
not, I mean, you need time to have your ducks in a row and know what you're saying, so we could do March. I have to, sorry, brush up on the deadlines for EDA, but that would be the last piece. So you have the opportunity to try to put the jigsaw puzzle together.
I don't see why we couldn't have a vote before March.
Right.
I don't, definitely not, say November's out for obvious reasons. There's no reason why we can't have a vote before March and have our ducks in a row and have it, and be able to have that meeting with the people and.
Does it have to be a ballot vote?
It would, I mean, I believe it would. If you do a bond, it has to be by Australian ballot. We have the option to do a USDA rural development loan, so I can't say with certainty, but I'm assuming the answer is yes.
I'll second Bruce's motion.
Okay. Any other discussion?
So the bond we would ask for would be how much?
Well, we don't know
We don't know.
that yet because we don't know how much funding we can get.
We heard about a whole bunch of other funding possibilities and said,
Oh, yeah, I heard them, yeah, they're rattling them off and tonight. Okay,
this is our problem at the moment, is to get everybody's ideas together and shared amongst all the parties.
You have that worksheet we provided last time on the cost. So you know that you can apply for up to 80% funding. So that's a $680,000 leftover that has to be addressed somehow. So how that happens between the town, private investment, and the state remains to be seen. So it's tough to say what you would be asking the voters to
I mean, that's the
do.
information we have to have is the private and the state to see exactly what they're gonna do before we can give anybody a good idea of what this is gonna
Right.
cost.
Yeah.
Right. And the
And
meeting
until
that-
those folks, we can have our vote, but it's gonna be a heck of a lot better knowing before the vote if there's what the state and the private
Yeah.
are gonna do, obviously. Because if they don't see what that number is gonna be huge without them in it, but they're both gonna be there because they both want it, the state and private,
Agreed, agreed.
So yeah, and that was part of the meeting this afternoon
Right.
was to make sure that we keep the private and the state, everybody on the same page so that when it comes time to ask for money, we know what we want, how much we want, when we want it, and what they have to give.
now, what I got out of today, myself, I thought we were sitting alone, and them two didn't know, they still don't know what they're doing. You know, that bothered me.
Well,
I know, but
You know,
I think they know exactly what they're doing. They're
well,
playing cat and mouse. They know
Yes.
exactly what they want and what they're doing.
yes.
That's exactly the point. They're just keeping us in limbo.
I don't like that though.
Well, I know you
wanna
don't.
catch them
I
else.
know you don't.
It's not ideal.
It's not a comfortable place to be.
That's all right, Richard, we're gonna keep right after them,
Okay.
I promise. We're just gonna keep right after them and make sure. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to accept the Northern Borders Regional Commission grant of $507,000. Wait. Okay, Heidi, you got this, two different amounts here. You've got 500,107.76 and you got 507,107.
It's 507,000, 507,107.76.
107, 107.76.
Okay. So, all right. That is a change from what I said earlier.
It's in red on the front of this sheet.
Yeah, but see right above that amount, it says 500,107. You have two different amounts there.
Oops, it's 50, yep, it's 507, 107. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it's,
I'm just gonna
An error.
it's $6,000 more.
there you go. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, Richard, good job.
Mark on that.
It wasn't easy, but you did it. I just wanted to briefly mention, in case anybody in the community was interested in participating, Regional Planning Commission is working with several towns to create a communication union district. And they have Enosburg, Fairfax, Montgomery, and a few other towns have joined since that. And what they're doing is pooling their resources to try to improve communications in Vermont. So in our area, they're attempting to do that. And there's a memo in your packet for the details. They'll be here next time to answer any questions. And it's a much less scary scenario than joining like the solid waste district, because you don't have annual fees, you don't have to buy into debt, and the only debt that you're allowed to enter into is called revenue bonds, so it's based on fees, it's not based on tax dollars. So it's something a lot of towns are jumping on board with, and Highgate is invited. And that's it for me.
Okay. Do we have any select board items that anyone has to bring up?
Also.
Okay, Richard, I see the little wheels spinning.
We talked a little bit last meeting about doing something Labor Day.
Yeah.
You know, I've kind of went to the fire department, see what to me, they seem to be a little nervous. So, you know, and I think, I don't know, maybe we just ought to let it go and hope for a Memorial Day parade next May, you know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what you guys think.
You're feeling that you got from the fire department too?
Honestly, I haven't really discussed it with them.
Okay.
I haven't, honest. I know that in my job, they were trying to do a kind of a mini open house. The Maple Festival people were talking about putting their trailers, there's 3 food trucks in the park in St. Albans. And the 5 maple vendors that are here in Franklin County we're gonna have. And I was in on a Zoom today with that, and it's been canceled. There's just too much of an opportunity of someone getting COVID, and the black mark that they put on the maple industry far out exceeded the benefit of bringing people into St. Albans for restaurants and hotels and the maple industry. So that's my opinion, is probably for the same reason, it's probably best to unfortunately let it go this year.
Okay. Vern or Bruce, do you have any opinions?
2020 is the year I think we're all going to want to erase off our life calendars. And unfortunately, I saw your idea because I actually watched the meeting on Northwest Cable Access. I like the part about the ATVs, by the way, it made me laugh.
Yeah.
We got a lot of them here, but I think for the interest of safety, for public safety, that kind of thing, it's probably just a good idea this year to skip it.
Bruce?
We aren't done with COVID-19 yet. Won't be for a while. So we better all just hunker down and be safe.
Okay, so can I have a motion to not go forward with any Labor Day plans as a town
I'll make that motion.
and hope for a fabulous and wonderful 2021.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
A regretful aye. Okay. I don't have anything else.
There was a letter to the select board from the Vermont State Police. They were visiting communities. They were asking if Highgate would like to have a visit.
I would like to have them visit.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just to show our support of the police. No, nobody had any information.
And I was told by the neighbors to that gentleman that he is a little off. He's not completely with it. And the neighbors talked to him about using excessive force trying to shoot that fox. And that might be something we need to have some concern about.
Okay, did you mention that to the officers while we were?
No.
Okay.
But the only thing I did mention was when I called, nobody did respond.
Okay.
St. Albans City was not on, state police were, they told us they were coming and they never showed up.
I mentioned that to them tonight too. I've called the state police this year.
I had to.
And they never, when I left the message to the investigating officer, nobody ever returned my call. I just wanted to follow up on what they found or what was going on, and nobody ever called back. So I think that if we had this meet and greet or whatever,
Okay, so the fact that they don't respond to a call makes me a little nervous, so yeah, let's ask them to attend.
and the thing was, this was just after the shooting in Swanton where that young man got killed. So
Right.
that's what my concern was.
Yeah, and people are still freaked out.
I wouldn't go down there because it's very dark and scary down there, so I wouldn't go down, but,
Yeah. But still, we have residents down there. I mean,
and like I said, they were very concerned because he used excessive force. I mean, 9 shots to kill that one fox, just if you didn't get him the first couple times, I don't know if I'd be going that many more.
yeah.
By then, he's long gone, and
Okay, so yes, let's ask the state police why they don't respond.
Will do. There was also a letter from Fish and Wildlife in your packet, and it's just letting you know that they're planning to use a chemical to treat lamprey, I believe it is. Sea lamprey. And it will be not advised for folks to swim, fish, do anything for 3 to 7 days during that time. But it sounds like they will be letting us know when that's scheduled, and we need to help people understand that.
What areas are they planning on treating?
The letter's in the packet, and it is, it just says that municipal records show that we abut waters where U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service sea lamprey control treatment is tentatively scheduled for fall 2020. So I can get some more information.
I didn't see where a specific spot myself, that's why I
Yeah.
saw that.
Maybe I'll try to get a little more information on that for the next meeting.
And just put it on the website and put a public notice out. Humans the sources.
All right.
Packet. It was a big packet.
Does anyone have any other public comment? Yes.
Heidi has the the report come back from Arnold and Skangus on the assessment
No, it has not.
yet?
They have agreed to have it to us prior to our next meeting on the 25th, I believe is our next meeting. So,
Okay, thank you.
I'm anxious to see it too.
Yes, I as well.
Anything else? Okay, and I would like a motion to adjourn and enter into executive with Heidi Birch-Valenta, and Shelley, if you can stay as well, that would be appreciated.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll say.
All right, all those in favor?
I
All right, thank you very much for coming.